Let's record. All right. So I'm going to share screen. We're going to go through and talk, and we're actually going to do work into Canvas and, more importantly, StatCrunch. This is where it starts to get. So here's what we have. This is the 2.1 handout that you can print out. Can everybody see that? Do I need to enlarge it? Okay. But what we're going to be looking at is some data. Now, first thing it talks about is frequencies. Now, a frequency table is when we start taking a big chunk of data and we break it down, and it's just like it says. Now, I can do this by hand. If I was doing this by hand, I'd have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And as I go through that list, well, let's do it over here. As I go through, I do a frequency table. It starts off this simple. We have the days, we have a tally column, and then we have a frequency column. So when I go through, see, I've got one Wednesday, I've got a Saturday, I've got a Monday, I got another Wednesday, another Wednesday, another Wednesday. That's the first row. Then I go through and do Friday, Saturday, Saturday. Now I can keep doing that, and there's a lot of place for human error. And then when I get done, I'd have how many actual numbers here. Instead, I'm going to take this, because the first thing says do it by hand. That's what I was doing. But looky right here, using StatCrunch. This is right today's, I really hated doing it this way, but we're going to actually do this in StatCrunch. So I do it in StatCrunch. I thought I already had it open. Nope, there it is. I want to point out something. This is in modules. All the way to the bottom is data sets. Now, the data sets that look like 1_3, 2_, those are actually from the textbook, where we can download those, link to those straight to the textbook. These, however, no. So I'm going to show you two ways to import data into StatCrunch. First way, going in StatCrunch, open it. All right, over to the left, right there, StatCrunch. You notice the first selection says data sets from your textbook. Clicking on it. It's checking my credentials. Now, it's broken down by chapters. If I drop it, you notice how it says that is the same data sets. Let's bring this to the bottom. We want 2_23. So 2_123, right there she is. And it automatically imports our data from the textbook. That's a nice thing when we have the data in there. Okay. We can't see. We can only see the document. Okay. Accessing StatCrunch is let me continue to share. It should be following me right along. Now, can you see? Yes, okay. All right. How I got here is from my lab, my math lab, in your Canvas course. Can you see that? Devel, can you see that? I can see you on the screen. Okay. Then when I clicked on this, that's because I already got it open. When I clicked on this, it brought me up. Close. When I click on that, saying I've got too much stuff basically open. All right, clear my data. Same thing I tell you guys do when I start hearing issues. All right, let's try it again. All right, for my lab, I click on that. All right, Pearson. You guys are seeing me go in through the back door. All right. If you have problems, a lot of times if you go straight through Pearson, Pearson and Canvas sometimes have issues where they don't play well together. Well, you just witnessed it. So, but clicking on the My Lab like you do through Canvas, over here is StatCrunch. Click on it. Again, what did I click on? The data sets from textbook. Everybody can still see this now, right? Nod for me, DeVille. Okay. This is how I got to it. Then we're in chapter 2, and it was 2_1_23. Right there it is. This is the first way of how you can import data. If it's from the textbook, you can literally import it. Your homework has the same aspect. It'll give you a little link to click on, and it jumps you right over to StatCrunch and imports the data for you. All right. So what we want is now to do is to run a frequency table. To do that, it's under Stat, Summary, Columns. Nope, that ain't it. I left my notes. I'm sorry, guys. There it is. It's Stat, Tables, Frequency. Select the column, the header column, day. Right now, it's going to compute both. It was going to compute both frequency and relative frequency. I just want a frequency table, so I click on that. All right. Compute. And there's our frequency table. That quick. Now, what is a relative frequency table? That's the other portion. A relative frequency table is how we relate each individual day to the total. And to calculate that, we would take 8 divided by the total, and it's telling us count of 42, so our total is 42. We could go back to our raw data. And count all these up. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 columns with 7 rows, that's 42. So I could go through, if I remember correctly, 8 was on Sunday. So relative frequency, I would go 8 divided by 42. Handy dandy calculator, and get me a decimal. I'd go through and do that for every one of these days if I was doing it by hand. Okay, which part, Jackson? You said your computer lagged. Which part do you want me to do again? Feel free, if you've got a mic, to click unmute. Oh, getting to the frequency chart. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to do it a couple times. So the relative frequency, the difference between getting to the StatCrunch to do frequency and relative frequency is very slight. So the commands, stat, frequency, and you're going to select which column. In this case, we're selecting day. The frequency is highlighted, so this is the stat that can differ, but we only want frequency, so we're going to select on the frequency. And then compute. All right, so I'll stall for a minute. Anybody wants to write down the steps? Because that's the hardest part about StatCrunch, is knowing the steps. All right. So back to StatCrunch. Nope, wrong one. Can you guys see that? I'm back to StatCrunch. Okay. Now can you see it? Okay. All right. So right now I have a frequency table. Stat. I did it again. Yep. Stat. Tables. Frequency. I forgot tables. Select the day because that's the column. Right now, it's going to compute both frequency and relative frequency. So I want relative frequency this time. And compute. There is my frequency. And there's my relative frequency side by side. So you can guys see the difference between the two. The relative frequency tables, basically it's a percentage. It's a percentage in decimal format. So basically the relative frequency, Sundays occurred, the shopping was 19%. Shopping on Monday was 11.9% or 12%. All right. How are we on that? Decent? Want to see the steps again? And let's pop in the chat. Walk it through one more time. By the way, you notice when I close it, look over here. There's now a 2. They save your work. So when I close it, it goes over there and it's saved until I close StatCrunch. Once I close StatCrunch, it clears it. So how did I do it? Stat, tables, frequency. Select day. This time I'm going to leave both of them highlighted. And compute. Now it's on both on one table, and that's okay too. How do we feel? Decent? But yeah, StatCrunch is not too bad when I only have 42 lines to hand figure. But remember that tornadoes one I pointed out? Under the tornadoes data set had 1,400 lines down with multiple variables. I wouldn't want to do that one by hand. So here's why statisticians use software. Your TI-84s have a cap at 1,000. So even they max out, where the software like StatCrunch, here's tornadoes. I did not download it. But you're seeing just how many lines down. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to do that one by hand. And it's too big for your calculator to boot. That's the tornadoes one, where StatCrunch will handle that in a heartbeat. All right. So go back to modules. There we go. All right. Back to the document. So we did 1 and we did 2, 1A and 1B using StatCrunch. But let's look at doing bar graphs. Now, bar graphs is how we can take our data and make what I call the pretty pictures. This is where this is where we can start adding graphs and charts to everything. And right now, I want to stress this, we are talking qualitative. Remember, qualitative is the descriptive. This is descriptive. We use bar graphs for descriptive qualitative. Frequency tables can be either or, but bar graphs go with qualitative data, because you're going to hear something here in just a moment, hopefully, something called a histogram. Histograms tend to go with quantitative data, and they're very similar. A bar graph is, let me hold on here, options, copy. What I just did is I copied in the data set, except it popped all the way up. I went up there. Come on, down, down, down. Keep coming. All right. And by the way, you guys can embed this stuff the same way I did. I just did a copy paste. Now, I want to do a bar graph based on this. If I was doing it by hand, think of graphing in 4 quadrants, except that we only had the first quadrant. So we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So up the side, I got to give the frequencies. Across the bottom's the days. Up the side goes the frequencies. Now I could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if I want. And then I have my different bars. Remember I said there's a difference between a bar graph and a histogram. See, Monday we had 5, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5. I come up, line, down. Tuesday is 7. So that'd be 6, 7. Horizontal. Line down. The bars do not touch in a bar graph. There should be a space between each one. I do the same thing for Wednesday and keep going. Right? Histograms look like bar charts, but the bars touch. And there's usually something called classes. All right. So this is doing a bar chart by hand. But again, do we want to do the bar charts by hand? Absolutely not. Everybody can see StatCrunch, right? Okay. All right. So I want graph this time. They call it a bar plot with data. So it's graph, bar plot, data. I want to select day because that's my column. I want frequency. And I want the values above the bar. So I'm going to click value above bar. And we do need to give the axis labels. And most of the time, the y-axis is called the frequency. And this was about Mary Meyer shopping online. So I'm just going to give it a quick title. I can play with the colors. I could make it a relative frequency. We're going to play with this here in just a moment. But compute. Look at that bar chart. It's a lot neater than mine. It's a lot quicker, but it started with a frequency table. So we expand it. Options, I can save it, copy it, print it, download it. This is how you, again, it can embed it into documents to submit. All right. Everybody feeling okay so far? Let's look if I did this by a frequency. Bar plot with data. Select the day. Frequency, this time I'm going to select relative frequency. I still want value above bar. And I'm going to cheat this time. I'm going to leave the labels off. Now it's got us down into percentages. Most of the time when we do bar charts, we put the values above, so it keeps people from guessing the values, because like 0.19, that's kind of hard to, one person, I don't know, it could be 0.18. We put the values to keep people from guessing. All right. So far, so good. I'm going to go back to the document. Scroll on down. There's our bar graphs. We did both of those now. Now, a Pareto bar graph, again, this is qualitative data, is descending. Means the biggest bar starts out. In other words, we no longer stay in the order of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We now go from the highest to the smallest. So what does a Pareto? I could do it by hand, but I really like walking you guys through StatCrunch. Right now, that's where everybody's not so sure about. So I'm going to leave this here for a minute. So remember how we did the bar plot? We did that bar plot with data. Select the day. I'm going to leave it with frequency, but looky right here, order by. We want count descending. It's under order by. Scroll down to count descending. Compute. So you guys can see it side by side. You can now see the difference between a Pareto and a plain bar chart. Pareto starts with the largest frequency to the smallest frequency. Even if it means it puts the days out of order across the bottom, because this now goes Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, Friday, Thursday. Where before, under a normal bar, we had the order across the bottom. Okay. How we feeling about StatCrunch? A little better? Starting to see how it takes some practice, DeVille. It does. All right. And again, guys, you can download the document. This is right out there. All right. Side by sides. It's when we have two different sets of data. All right. And like this one, this is native and foreign. We could also do it by gender. It's when we're going to compare two populations. So we'll put them side by side. I'm going to scroll on by because my biggest here's a pie chart. I'm going to let you guys play a little bit. Now, the pie chart, the reason why I'm skipping ahead is still using the day of the week data. And how do we do that? Why count descending? Count descending is what causes the bars to go from the highest to smallest. That's the command. Okay, DeVille? I'm seeing it, and where you ask the question, why count descending? Yeah, it just popped. That's the command to make it to go decreasing in value. All right, so I'm gonna toggle back again. And this time I'm going to do graph because I want a pie chart. Pie chart with data. Again, select the day. And we can either do it by this, by the count, in other words, the frequency, or by the percentage. And we can give it an overall. Let's hit compute. There's your basic pie chart with the frequency over here. Excel gives you a lot more options for pie charts. I'll tell you that. This is where Excel outmaneuvers StatCrunch. I can do 3Ds. I can click and drag pieces of the pie out. So if I want to like do a presentation, I want to emphasize Sunday, so I can literally pull it out. I can embed the numbers. Most of the time you're going to be using StatCrunch. Very rarely the Excel. I'm just letting you know the Excel is the better option for creating graphs. Your homework's tied to StatCrunch. But there are better options in StatCrunch when it comes to graphing and things. Okay. Gotta keep my voice going. So yes. If you notice though, when I click on, as I click on the days, look what happens on the, it highlights the rows. So I can see where the data came from. So there's some other little tweaking things. All right. Now, here's why I skipped. I want to go back to the Word document. Because that's the end for 2.1 if I hadn't skipped this. Remember I said there's more than one way to import data. Let's look at the other way we can import data. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the double bars. And I'm going to close StatCrunch down to here. And I'm going to assume, can you see modules? Okay. I flipped over to modules, and this is the data that they're talking about. Yes. This is the other piece that they talked about in the example I skipped. Now, I could download this straight in, but I wanted to show you guys the other method. So that means I got to download the data to my computer, open it, and it opens in Excel. I'm going to highlight the information. All I did was I clicked, kept my mouse, and highlighted the whole thing. All right. I do a Control-C. Control-C is a keyboard command to copy, or I can right-click and hit copy, either or. I'm going to take that back to StatCrunch. All right, can you guys see StatCrunch? And this time I'm going to hit StatCrunch from website. And then open StatCrunch. We're copying from Excel. Could you not see Excel when it opened? Let me go back. Okay. Yeah, we copied from Excel and we pasted into StatCrunch. I opened StatCrunch this time the same way I did before, except instead of clicking the from textbook, I clicked the second option from website. And this time it's important because I'm going to paste it in. I want to click in the header bar. You should. If you don't, you can download Excel for free because you are a Marian Tech student. Bill Gates gives free access to Microsoft, which gives you Word and Excel and all that for students who are in college. It's a free. So, but right there, I click on the header and I do Control V. And that pasted my data straight in. Now I could have right clicked. But you notice it doesn't do it. So this is the important part of knowing those commands. Control V does a paste. All right. Now, I want to do a bar plot with data. This time, I want male versus female. And I have to hold the control button down to hold both. I can do split bars, stack bars, do separate graphs, but right now I want to do split bars with frequency. Right, that's what I get for not having my notes here. Bar plot. I want both those columns. Okay, why is it doing this? Split bars. Still putting on two different graphs. Guys, I am so sorry. This is what happens when I not have my notes myself. No, it's not this. I will come back to that one, those commands, guys. Yes. Yes, Victoria. All right. Let me come back to that because I don't want to keep, because that's 2.1 is going how to do graphing with qualitative data. Now, quantitative data is very similar. That's 2.2. Now, quantitative data, we have graphs called dot plots, histograms, those are the two biggies. Now, with these guys, what makes a difference? Remember, quantitative can be discrete or continuous. This is where all this vocab is now starting to come back at you. So we have to break it up a lot of times into what's called classes. And we could start again with what? A frequency table. Okay. Can everybody see the document? The other data? You mean the data sheet, DeVille? Or this? 2.1 is qualitative data. This is quantitative data. Okay. Then DeVille, feel free to turn on your mic to ask a question. Feel free. There's a lag with the chat. So when we organize our data into classes. This is where you start seeing the histograms, what most people see. We start with a frequency table. And I can go through this. This is now a sibling CSV. That means it's not a textbook one. So this would be one that I'd have to copy paste. Can you guys see my canvas and modules? What? It says you that I don't allow. It's saying it won't let you unmute. Now try it. Now try it, DeVille. I just changed a setting. Can you unmute now? Okay, I just changed the setting. So I want siblings. I'm clicking on that from my modules and I want to download it. I'm going to open it. Highlight. Control C or right click. I've got my data now highlighted. And then I'm going to take it back to StatCrunch. I'm going to click on variable 5, Control V.
Why variable 5?
I could have done 4.
Okay, so you could pick anywhere?
I just put a gap between the two tables is all. No other reason than that. All right. So to do a histogram, I can do it by I can do a frequency table. Remember frequency tables? I said you guys will get real quick because you do it repeatedly. I want siblings. And let's go ahead and leave it as that. Get both. So there's our frequency table with starting with 0 up to 7. If I was doing this by hand, I could do a bar for each one of those. Don't want my draw. There would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 was my highest. Frequency up the side, whether it's a relative or by hand. All right. So at 0, I have 1. Now, this, even though it's touching the 1, you read to the left. Otherwise, sometimes some frequency tables put it in the middle. And I'm doing this by hand. So then at one child, I have 4. Again, it touches. And I can keep going. But this is doing it by hand. All right. So a histogram and a bar chart look very similar. Difference is, one, a histogram has class widths. And this is a very basic one. We only get 7 classes, so we just have 7 bars. But what if we have something more complex? Like this. That's a very complex table. Let's look at example 3, because I want to go through on how to do a class width by hand. I can look through that by hand and find the smallest, because we want to take and find the smallest value and the largest value. All right. Well, I can tell you what it is. I've already looked. The largest value is 8.4. So if I'm going to calculate this class width by hand, the largest value is 8.4. So I'm going to go 8.4. And I'm going to subtract the smallest class width, which is 2.4. Now, this is where you will have to either make your own judgment, or when you're doing your homework, it's going to tell you how many classes there is, because you divide by the number of classes. With this one, we're saying 6, or no, 8.
Where you get 8 from?
I could do 6. As I say, it's a choice, or we have to tell you. I started to do 6. I thought, nope, 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 nope. I want 8 for a reason. Your homework tells you how many class widths. That's what goes on the bottom.
So where did 2.4 come from?
It's the smallest data piece here,
Okay,
and 8.4 is the biggest.
okay.
So I make the subtraction. It's 6/8 or 0.75. Now, we're talking class widths. Most of the time, we will round it up. In this case, we typically round it to the nearest integer or whole number. So in other words, we would base our class width on 1. If this had divided out and said like 0.67, it still becomes 1. This is where judgment calls happen when you're doing it by hand. It doesn't make it more right or wrong. I could start my class width and say 2 to 0.4. And class width means add 1 to 3.4. And how we write it is an interval notation. It equals 2.4, but doesn't equal 3.4. It's the reason why you get a closed bracket, rounded bracket. The next bracket, when doing it by hand, would start at 3.4, add 1, and go to 4.4. All the way up. Until we got 8 classes. All right. Now, remember it says judgment call. Maybe I don't like working with decimals. $2.4 is really close to 2, isn't it? Maybe I want to say 2 to 3. When you're running your own stats, you have that freedom. Maybe I want to make my class widths whole numbers all the way down. But it started by taking the smallest and the largest, finding the difference between the two, and dividing by how many class widths I wanted. I could have said 6 class widths. I could have. But I wanted you guys to see the rounding bit. All right. How are we feeling on that? And again, then I'd take the frequency table and break it in. But you really think I want to do that? I don't want to do this frequency table by hand, because remember, these start by a frequency table. So I'm going to go back to StatCrunch, and more specifically back to my modules, because this one was unemployment. I'll download it. I'll put it in Excel. And there we go. Highlight. Control C to copy. Take it back to StatCrunch. And just because I'm going to leave space, I'm clicking on variable 7, Control V. Now, how did I quickly know what was the smallest and the largest? Notice that arrow? If I move it on the rate after I get the data in there, if I click down on it, and choose ascending, it'll sort the entire tables by the ascending, meaning smallest to largest, so that you don't even have to go through and sort to find the smallest number and the largest number. Excel will do the same thing. All right. But that's how I cheated and got the and got that so quick. I plugged it through earlier. All right. Now I want to do a frequency table on this. This time I want to do something, it's going to have bins. So stat, table, frequency. I want rate. Bins. See where it says bin numerical value? Start with 2, and I'm going to have to tell it a width 1. So you're going to have to calculate that. Compute. So there it is with a frequency table with bins. Smallest to the largest with percentages. All right. But I want a histogram. That was what my whole goal was. I want a histogram. So I want graph, histogram, rate. All right. I can select frequency or relative frequency. I'm going to leave it at frequency. Start with 2, with 1. I could put the value above the bar. Why not? Compute. And there is a histogram. How do we feel?
Where is you getting them numbers from? That's what's losing me. Where are you getting the numbers from to do these graphs with?
What, these numbers?
Like the numbers, like I'm watching you. So you copying and pasting from somewhere?
Modules in Canvas.
Okay.
Can you see my canvas?
Yes.
Okay. I clicked on modules. It's a good question. Data sets.
So all of them numbers, are those the different questions or are those different worksheets?
These are all different
Assignments.
data sets. This is all nothing but sets of data. All of
wow.
these.
Okay. So in the directions, will it say the ones that you want us to
Yes.
compute? That's what we're doing, correct? Computing
Yep.
data?
Yep. Because if you notice, unemployment, CSV,
Okay.
right there is the one it's telling you.
Man, I was lost. I'm like, where's this lady getting these numbers from?
That's what it says. Unemployment on Canvas. That's okay.
Okay.
But we're walking through on how to do these together. Here is it, siblings. Your homework, the difference between your homework, it has an embedded link to take the data over to StatCrunch. But when you get to midterm and final, you're going to have to be able to do this. So that's the reason I'm making sure we're going slow on how to make that move over. All right. So feel free to ask. But we just did the histogram for frequency. So how about a relative frequency? Going back to StatCrunch. Because the data's there. This is a frequency one.
And what's the difference between frequency and relative frequency?
Relative frequency relates each grouping back to the whole, so you get percentages. Frequency is the raw count.
Now, in the directions, will it say what you're asking for, right?
Yep.
And the way to do it is to go in here and find how to compute it in here and which one to pick, and then it just does it for you?
Yep. As long as you know the commands.
Okay.
That's the reason I'm going slow and emphasizing the commands. So if I want to do a relative frequency, so you can see it side by side.
Okay.
It's graph, histogram. I clicked. I selected rate.
Is rate, you got to automatically pick rate?
Because that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
And then relative frequency, value above bar, compute. Here you can see side by side the difference between a frequency and a relative frequency. They look the same, but look at the values above the bars.
So is stat tables frequency? Oh no, that's to do qualitative. This is quantitative, correct?
Well, the stat is how you got to the frequency table.
Okay.
And relative frequency table. To get to the graphing, graph, if it was qualitative, we used bar chart. If it's quantitative, it's histogram. They look very much the same.
Let me write it down. You said if it's
2.1 is qualitative.
okay.
The handout 2.1 is qualitative. It takes you through all the charts.
Okay.
2.2 is quantitative.
Okay.
And it's different charts. The biggest thing we use for quantitative is histograms because of those widths.
Okay.
Now, I have one more I need to do because we have histograms and dot plots, also known as scatter plots.
Okay.
This is also quantitative.
Okay, so the first one was what? What's the first graph?
Histogram. This
And
is
the
a
second one?
histogram.
Second one, histogram too?
Both of these are histograms. This is a frequency histogram. This is
And
a
this
relative
quantitative.
frequency.
Okay.
Yep, this is quantitative. All right.
Let me take a picture. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Let me bring it back up. There we go.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Yep, there goes my alarm saying, all right, 5 minutes. All right, I want my siblings back because I want to do a dot plot with the siblings. To do a dot plot, it is graph, dot plot. I want siblings. And compute. This is what dot plot looks like. It's also very similar to a scatter plot. I think it's the easiest one because it's
So do you have
graph.
to,
What?
do you have to remember exactly where to go to? Is that part of like the test too? Or am I able to write down the directions? It's
You
like
know,
the
I've
question
always
is, it's
thought,
like, it's one thing like to have to, whatever it is you asking me to compute, but am I being tested on which ones to go to actually do the, to compute it? Because that's kind of hard to remember each one by one.
oh yeah, I would give it to you. Typically we give you a handout of the formulas.
Okay, so go into these different ones and go into, so these are formulas which you teaching right now, how to
Not exactly. These are nothing more than graphing. Right now, we're
Okay.
talking graphing. The formula bit was how did you calculate the width? That was a formula. The largest value minus the smallest value divided by the number of classes. That's class width formula.
largest class. You said divided by the smallest?
Yep. Divide by the number of classes.
Okay.
Most of the time it's going to be given to you, but in real life, you get to figure it out.
Mhm.
Once you do it a few times, you'll find it's not that hard. But to do the dot plot, I'm going to do it again. It's graph, dot plot, siblings, compute. And each one of those is a little dot saying this is how many times it occurred. If I bring up the frequency histogram, it'd look at like pretty much the same thing. But with bars. Notice 2 here has the most dots. Look who has the hardest bar. It's just a different way of showing the same data. Different type of picture. 6 has no dots. 6 has no bar. All right. How does everybody feel? This is your first really big dive into StatCrunch.
I'm probably gonna live with my tutor. I might pay her extra on top of what MTC pays her. Cause I guess C's get
Everybody felt-
degrees, right?
What?
I guess
Everybody
C's
felt
get
all right?
degrees, right?
You can do this.
I ain't gonna stop. I ain't gonna stop. I'm gonna keep trying.
You can do this. Andrew, you all right? Is he still with us? Jackson says he's pretty good. It's good now. Well, guys, hopefully I'm going to be back on campus come Wednesday.
So the homework that's due is the what's left, the 1.6 and the concept and 1.5, right?
Correct. That's what's due tomorrow. I moved 2.1 out since I want to give you guys time to digest this, and I did record it. So I should be able to put a link out there.
Yes. Oh, God, okay.
So that all this will be available for review, guys. All right, we feeling okay? Go back to Zoom. Everybody's good? Thumbs up, people. I appreciate everybody making the leap over. And by the way, if anybody ever gets sick and you can't make it and you'd like me to, I moved 2.1 over. It should be due next week now, Jackson. Yeah, it's I didn't drop it. Jackson asked if I moved it or dropped it. It's like, no, it's due next week now.
Did you give us 2.1?
Huh?
Did you give us
2.1 we
2.1?
should have done last week. 2.1 we should have got through last week, but we had Monday holiday.
Okay. Wait. Okay.
Good for you.
So am I able, like, because 6 if 2.1 ain't like 2.1 after 1.6?
Yep.
So you passed out papers in class?
Not yet.
Okay.
They're out there on the web. You would have gotten them today.
But is it here for me to download?
Yep. It's under modules.
All right.
We try to keep everything out there. Yes, you're good to leave. I'm watching the chat, so.
All right. I'll text you.
Okay.
Call my
You
tutor.
feeling better, DeVille? You feeling better about this?
A little bit. A little bit. Thank you.
You're welcome. Just
I
hang in there.
I hope you feel better, Jackie. Oh, I am.
I'm hoping.
I do know that
Yeah.
if anything that you go hard at, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep trying. Some of it makes sense, some of it don't. I'm lost in some areas. That's why I take notes and tell the tutor so she can break it down to me some more.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you going slow so that I can understand something to even take back to her.
I tried. Lauren's good, right? Lauren, you got any questions? Oh, good. I had her previously, so. You're welcome, Lauren. Thank you for making the leap. I know this isn't exactly prime, but. But I will be posting. I do believe I can post the link. Thank you. Gaines good? Thank you, Lauren. I hope so too. I keep popping the meds.
I forgot I could just unmute. But yeah, as you can hear, it was worse earlier. I've just taken like a teaspoon of honey and try to, but yeah, it's the weather and tis the season still. So
No, I get it. I get it. It's just, I started Friday and I popped mystery, as I put it, mystery fevers. So Friday, when I started running the mystery fever, I'm like, okay, is this a mystery fever? Am I really getting sick?
Oh, I never got a fever. Never got a fever. I was fine literally up until yesterday. I came home from church, laid on the floor and couldn't move. Like I just couldn't get up.
I've pretty much slept since Friday.
Oh my goodness.
Friday evening, I got home. I had meetings during the day and then had a treatment. I have monthly treatments for Caden. Let me answer him real quick. Yes, I can. Or if you can stop by, I've got office hours right before class, either or. All right. But yeah, I can do either or, Caden. Not a problem. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, Friday night, it's like, it didn't stop. Friday night was, friends were laughing at me because I was talking, I must have spiked a pretty good fever because I could have sworn I seen shadow people. I seen people walking
man.
around that were, yeah. So I told me I had a fever. Like when I get over 101, it's like, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So the drugs come out Saturday and I've been popping them ever since. I don't remember texting one friend about shadow dogs Saturday night.
Oh man.
I was seeing animals running around. I'm like, he was like, you don't remember? Nope, I don't.
So you were seeing that Bigfoot on that pillow behind you.
Yeah.
I love those pillows.
I get all sorts of, I've got actually a Bigfoot blanket that says this person's protected by Bigfoot. They make fun of me because of my Bigfoot stuff. So yeah, friends just keep buying me more and more Bigfoot stuff. I'm like, my shower curtains are Bigfoot. I got bathroom mats that are Bigfoot feet prints. I'm like, shoot, guys.
A whole collection.
Yeah, more. They just keep adding. But yeah, so yeah, I've been a little delusional over the last couple of days, and today it's on the upswing, and
That's good.
so. But yeah, they've had a good time with me. It's like, you guys are not funny.
Yeah, well,
But
you got
yeah.
some time to rest up.
Yeah,
You get to feeling better before Wednesday.
so do I, and I hope you get to feeling better. I mean, I
Thank
was
you.
told I called it in. They're like, guys, she's like my main oncologist because I have to go through her on everything. She leads the way. She's like, there is a respiratory thing going around. And she says it can take 2 to 3 weeks to kick under a normal person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great. She said, you sure it's not COVID? Yeah, I'm sure it's not COVID. I tested twice.
Yep.
So that's their big fear. And I'm like, have you ever seen me mask? Sorry, I don't believe in them. It's like I said, let my immune system take it on. I
can't say which doctor, but I mean, I work in a doctor's office, and today we were just talking about that. He said they're just going to keep up with the shenanigans, having us wearing these masks. It's no longer about a debate on if they work or not. It's just them having their way. Like I go and work 8 hours and wearing a mask and it doesn't work.
My one oncologist, he comes in wearing the mask and then he walks in the room, he pops it off. He'll tell you they don't work.
Yeah. So I mean, there's doctors, they know that they don't work. It's just they just got to keep up the shenanigans.
They have to keep their license and the practice open. I get it. So, but yeah, he pops them off when he realizes. He said you really do need to, and he's one who said you really do need to be exposed to work your immune system.
Yeah.
He says we can boost it with other ways, but yeah, they've got me on. As you heard me tell DeVille, it's like, yeah, no, they have me on which was kind of strange when they started out telling me, you gotta take this. These aren't drugs, these are vitamins. Yep. Boost your system.
Yeah.
So I get it. So best line of defense, it says your own body.
Yep.
So been going 13 years, hard to believe. I first diagnosed this almost 14 years now.
Wow.
14 years come March.
Fighter.
Yep, not going down. So Lauren, if you have any questions, reach out, just feel free.
I
All
sure
right.
will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rest
Bye-bye.
up. Bye.